I read a rather goofy story yesterday that I'd like to share with all of you. It's about a man who drained his family's entire bank account in order to throw it all in cash out of a speeding vehicle on the interstate. I believe the motivation was he wanted to try and give back to people, but it's the most inefficient way imaginable. He's like a very confused Robin Hood. He didn't steal from the rich to give to the poor. He stole from his family to give to nature because most of those bills that he loosely threw out of the car have absolutely ended up just getting either eaten by animals or buried in dirt, sand, run over by other cars, ripped in half. It's just the dumbest plan ever. Nothing about it makes sense. He did it in loose $100 bills. That's giving the money to nobody. He basically just created a real-life video game Easter egg. If you go to these random coordinates off the interstate, you might find a few loose hundreds. It is wild. I can only envision a couple of other worse ways of trying to give money to people, and that'd be like dumping 200K in cash down a river and then saying well, I wanted to help people, so anyone that happens to go by the river might be able to fish out a couple hundreds or a couple $1,000s from it. Or dumping 200K into a dormant volcano and then saying it's like a long con, so when the volcano erupts, it's like this giant money geyser that's shooting money into the atmosphere for people to collect on its way down. It's just wildly nonsensical and inefficient if you're actually trying to help people. However, chat actually tossed around a theory that opened my third eye to what was probably the motivation behind this, and it most likely wasn't to help people. So I'm just going to lay it out real quick before showing you all the clips. Basically, this guy drained his family's entire joint bank account of $200,000 and then threw money out of his car on the interstate. Now, since 200K was now missing from the family's bank account and a lot of money was thrown out of the window and scattered throughout the interstate on the side, they just assumed all 200K had been thrown out by this guy. But what is most likely the case is he threw out a chunk of it, maybe like $10,000, and then kept the other 190K and can just pretend that he threw all of it away, meanwhile has pocketed most of it for himself. Because people have reported that they picked up like $2,000, $1,000, this and that, but it's not like there's these huge batches of like 50K or anything. All of the reported numbers so far are $1,000 to $2,000, so it doesn't equal 200K. He very, very well could have just thrown out a small portion of it and kept the rest in order to throw his family off his trail. No, I don't have the money anymore. I threw it all away to help people. Meanwhile, he actually does still secretly have the money. But that's just a theory, though I do think that does have a lot of weight. You hear about the man in Oregon who threw over 200K out of his speeding car on the highway? Yeah, that was a cool story. I'll bring that up. That's a wholesome one. It's not wholesome at all, actually. But his heart was in the right place. He's just a little confused.
$200,000 cash out a car window. He said he wanted to help people in need.
Yep.
It was his money.
His car as he drove along an interstate in Eugene, Oregon.
Which is just a wild idea, by the way. First of all, throwing 200K in cash anywhere is wacky. That is outrageous. But to throw it out of a speeding vehicle is even stupider. It's going to be extremely hard to pick up the cash. But not only that, to throw it out of a speeding vehicle on the interstate where human beings are not walking is even stupider. Then all the money's just going to keep getting run over until it's worthless. Everything about this plan screams that he had just done PCP or something and he was seeing God. He was like, holy shit, I'm chosen. Gotta drain the bank account to spread the love.
This guy was driving up and down I-5, dropping out tons of cash.
Chaos erupted as motorists pulled over looking for
It's
a
also
wad of bills.
It's also extremely dangerous just to be walking around the interstate like this. This is the worst place you could have ever had people going on a fucking scavenger hunt. And at night, too. This lady's out here playing on Ultra Nightmare mode. She's wearing black on black. I don't know what the fuck that thought process is. Hopefully she doesn't see a $100 bill out there, because that could spell the end. That could just be a disaster. Or if you were an evil supervillain, you put a $100 bill on a fishing line, you throw it out and reel it in like Mr. Krabs when he was chasing that dollar around. This whole thing is just so fucking ridiculous.
Word spread fast.
Some friends called me and said that they got $2,000.
They left their cars on the
Whoa.
side of the road with traffic whizzing by. Just a handful of people wondered if this was the right thing to do.
We have one of the people who picked up the large sum of cash, $1,800 worth.
Oh, they thought it was stolen.
Of I-5 wanting to know what to do with the money.
The dude who is said to have tossed out the family bank account has been identified as Colin Davis McCarthy.
Classic Colin
State
W.
troopers say he does.
This guy isn't in any legal trouble at all because he was on the account. He had a right to throw the money away, as crazy as it sounds.
The family says, please
Sounds like a
return
radio
it.
DJ.
That money is very much needed by the family.
Such a fucking crazy story. Every single iota of that plan is dumb. Draining all of the money from his family's account, and then instead of like doing, if he wanted to just give away everything, like all of his worldly possessions or whatever, that's one thing. You like actually give it away or do some kind of, I don't know, effective means of giving. This guy just threw it out over the interstate like a bank robber. And then he throws away like his family's financial security. I bet it was only like 80K and they're just lying. Brother, what? Okay, let's assume you're right. If he threw out 80K from the car window, the story is just as fucking stupid. It doesn't change. It's not like the amount that makes it outrageous. It's the whole idea of it, though the amount absolutely does help elevate the goofiness. I'll be waiting on 275 for someone to do this. Yeah, maybe he's going to start a trend like that whole pay it forward trend where in a drive-thru you used to pay for the people behind you's meal. Maybe now people just drain their bank accounts and start tossing that shit out the window on the interstate. I'd love to like see an interview with Colin. I want to know. Can you imagine Mr. Beast doing the same thing? I really couldn't. Like I actually couldn't. I could see like a really supervillain's a word I've been using a lot recently, but I can't think of another word for it. But I could see like a rich supervillain doing something similar. Like maybe this inspires him and he throws out like 200K, but over like an old minefield. Like some of those locations that still have buried landmines that are a danger to people, just literally throwing it out there and not telling people, or not telling people it's all landmines everywhere. Like that could be crazy. I could see that. That'd be like an actual plot for some kind of evil bad guy. Vigilante. Well, that's definitely not the right word for it. That's not a vigilante at all. That's like actual Squid Games, yeah. Draining the family's bank account without telling them or anything like that, immediately ruining that, like, pretty much their life, that's debilitating. To give all the money away is one thing, but to just throw it out the window is a totally different one. Like, if you just set up a garage sale where people, like, pull up and he gives you money to take away some of his items, like, I'd be like, oh, wow, what a fucking saint. Look at this guy. Let's get a load of this fucking guy. They did it on the interstate. I almost feel like he did want to see people getting hit. Like, maybe he actually is just a evildoer. He was like, I'm going to throw out 200K and I want to see how many greedy people go out there to collect it and then get fucking slaughtered. Like Jigsaw playing a game with people's greed. Oh, that's interesting. He probably threw out 10K and kept the rest. That... Maybe we're not giving him enough credit. Perhaps this was all a ruse. So he drains the family's bank account, and then he comes up with this outrageous plan. I'll throw some of the money out on the interstate. The family would report 200K is missing, and then this story would come out with all this money that was thrown on the interstate, but we only have like a few people that have confirmed like 2K, 1.5K. Yeah. Oh, maybe. So he threw out 10K and he's pocketed the other 190 and they're like, oh shit, damn, guess it's all gone. Sorry guys, I just really wanted to help people. Meanwhile, he's still got 190K in his fucking mattress. Holy shit, that's what the 80K guy was saying. He's actually smart. True, yeah. I'll eat shit on the 80K guy. That must have been like the tree he was barking up there. That is quite the plan. That is a nefarious plot. And would actually be kind of smart if you're trying to fuck your family and take all the money for yourself. Yeah, because the amount doesn't match up with what people picked up. Well, that's only what people have reported. Do you know how many people have probably been out on this fucking interstate for the last 2 days? Literally camping there. You probably have some of those, like, old beachgoers with the metal detector out looking for $100 bills now. Like, the spirit's there, but the brain's not. The body's willing, but the mind's fried. Like, they're probably trying everything. So there's maybe it was the whole 200K, the whole kit and caboodle, and people have just taken it and then, went home and haven't talked to the news agencies about it. Because again, most people are going to assume it's stolen cash, and with stolen cash, I imagine you have to give it back. So they're probably like, fuck that. I'll take this 30K worth of stolen cash I found in the ditch here and just go home.